Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us again today. My name is Dr. Roberta Westbrook, and I am your host today for our podcast. And we're here at the Campus for All Animals, the Houston SPCA. Thank you for joining us. Today, I hope to answer all of your really important questions related to spaying and neutering your pets. There's so many questions surrounding this. It can be a really procedure that sometimes creates anxiety, but hopefully I can help you with that today. But before we get into spaying and neutering, I really want to encourage you all to come on down to our campus. Consider looking at a puppy, a dog, a cat, or a kitten that you may want to consider adopting and bringing into your home to be part of your family. I want to talk to you especially about a wonderful, wonderful pet that we're going to have available for adoption tomorrow. And this adorable puppy, who it doesn't get any cuter than this. Oh my God, it gets no cuter than this. This is Augustine. Augustine is a male puppy who's going to be available for adoption tomorrow. He is so adorable. And he's just a few months old. He's going to be up for adoption, and he's just a wonderful, wonderful pet who's going to make someone a wonderful family friend. So come on down and see what other pets we have. We'll be showing you guys another friend here with us in a few minutes, but this is Augustine. Thank you so much, Augustine and Lisa. And so Augustine actually got neutered this morning, and so he's already in recovery, and he will be able to be up for adoption tomorrow. I want to mention a really special program that we have going on. When you come down to the Houston SPCA, we have partnered with Cameron Johnston and his wife, Tia. They've been wonderful supporters of our organization, and there's a program called Punts for Houston SPCA. So Punts for Houston SPCA is a program in which the adoption fee is covered for certain animals that we have up for adoption. And those adoption fees are covered by Cameron Johnston and his wife, wonderful supporters of us. So come on down and see which pets we have available in that program. So get your questions together for spaying and neutering, and I'll just start with the basics. What is spay? What is neuter? What is this terminology? You hear it, you may wonder which one is which. Is spaying for males and neuter for females, or vice versa? Well, let's just start with those basic terminology questions. So when we talk about spaying a pet, usually the term spay refers to a female. And a spay in a female is when a veterinarian surgically removes the reproductive organs in a female, and it can really be any species. Most often here we're doing dogs and cats, but we also do rabbits. And so when we spay a female pet, we are removing the ovaries and the uterus, the reproductive organs. What this does is not only does it help to prevent unwanted pregnancies, which can subsequently lead to homelessness in animals, because maybe this pet has given birth without homes for these puppies. So it can help to prevent pet overpopulation, but it can also be very beneficial to help prevent health concerns. So another adorable cutie that we have here is Foxy. This is Foxy the cat. She is so cute, and she is currently available for adoption. Foxy is going to be an example for us today. Look how beautiful. An example for us today when we're talking about spaying. And so when we're talking about spaying a female, again, you may be wondering, okay, what happens? Well, generally, it's very much like a human procedure where the pet is anesthetized, or basically giving medication to put them under anesthesia so that they don't feel any pain during the surgical procedure. And the veterinarian will perform the surgery, which usually requires an incision right on the belly here. We're going to lift Foxy up just a little bit so that you can see what that might look like there. So you can just see a very, very small surgical incision just right there. And so it's very, very small. And side by side to that is a green line. You may be wondering what that green line is. Oftentimes in shelters or with animals who don't have a family already, we will tattoo them right near the surgery incision with either a green line or some other tattoo to indicate that they have already been spayed or neutered. What this does is it helps in the future so that if anybody is wondering whether Foxy or another pet has ever been spayed or neutered, they can see that tattoo, and that can help them understand that this pet has already been spayed or neutered. So usually the incisions are very small. Our veterinarians are very skilled. They're licensed. They've been doing this for many, many years, and they've perfected the procedure such that they're able to do these surgical procedures through very small incisions. So does anybody have any questions now that we've kind of given you some starter information to go with?
Hey, Dr. Westbrook, it's Jacqueline from the Facebook Live walkthrough.
Hi, Jacqueline. Good to see you again.
Good to see you. Stacy wants to know what the recovery is like if you have an older male dog that was never neutered as a puppy. What does that look like?
Oh, great question. So in general, age is not considered a disease, but I will say that as pets get older, sometimes it does take them a little while longer to get back to their normal routine. Generally, in a younger, healthy animal, we usually say the first 3 days after surgery, they should be very quiet. No running, no jumping, no strenuous exercise. For 3 days, they should just be couch potatoes. And then after that 3 days, they can gradually, over the next 1 week, work themselves up to their normal routine. For an older pet, I would say give them a little bit longer, 5 days. I would say for an older pet who has maybe having a little bit of trouble recovering from anesthesia, 5 days, maybe up to 7 days of just no strenuous activity. Let them be the couch potato that maybe they already were before the procedure, and give them a little bit of time to process those anesthetic drugs and get back to their normal selves. So it can take a little bit longer in older pets, but in general, spaying and neutering, the procedures are very standard. They are typically low risk. And so in general, the procedure is very common. It's the most common procedure performed by veterinarians. And so it's usually just recovery from the anesthesia is the thing that takes a little bit longer. Great question.
Kristen wants to know, does it help with tagging and spraying to spay neuter your pet?
Oh yeah, great. So one of the things that is not really, one of our favorite things about intact males particularly is that they like to spray or mark their territory more. That typically happens more when they're intact. And so after neutering, that desire tends to go down. But I must say that it does a better job the earlier that you neuter your pet. And so I was talking about terminology. When I say the term neuter, that is usually referred to males. So now we're talking about males. And so we're talking about neutering. When you're neutering your male pet, that can help reduce their testosterone levels, those hormone levels that make them want to mark their territory, spray more, do more humping behavior where they are, humping things that, can be kind of an awkward social, not something you want happening at your dinner parties, that kind of thing. If you want to stop that behavior, usually the sooner you do that when they're young, when they're puppies, the more likely you are to reduce that behavior. Sometimes as the pet gets older, that is even part of their just habits. And so there's less of a guarantee that behavior is going to be reduced after they've been neutered. So spaying in females, neutering in males. Sometimes people will use the term neuter to refer to both male and female, and that's okay too.
Joe wants to know, she hears spaying can help with breast cancer and other diseases in female pets later in life. Is that true?
Absolutely. Thank you for bringing that up. So when we're talking about preventing health conditions for females, what we know through research is that every time a female pet goes into heat, every time they have a heat cycle, which for dogs, it's twice a year. For cats, they're what we call polyestrous, and they can go into heat numerous times during the spring and summer months. Whenever a female pet goes into heat, they have higher risk of mammary cancer, of breast cancer. And that can be potentially a life-threatening condition. And so the sooner that you spay your female pet, ideally before their first heat cycle, then you have almost eliminated that chance of them getting breast cancer earlier in life and having a potentially life-threatening scenario in which they'll have to have a radical mastectomy. So if you're hearing terms that sound familiar because you've heard them in human medicine, that's because you have. Diseases that people get oftentimes happen in pets as well. So when we talk about breast cancer, mammary cancer, and having to remove the mammary tissue, that can happen in dogs as well. And so spaying them before their first heat cycle dramatically reduces and almost eliminates their chance that they're going to get that later in life. Every time they have a heat cycle, the chances go up that they may get that.
And Brandy wants to know what kind of e-collar is good for kittens.
Oh, what kind of e-collar is good for kittens? So kittens are probably really good at getting out of those e-collars. I will say for comfort, I think the pets probably prefer the soft cloth ones. The problem with those is if they work hard enough, they just kind of come off and they wind up looking like a backwards dress is what they wind up looking at. The e-collar kind of flips over on itself and looks like it's a little skirt. So the ones that stay on better, I feel like, are the hard e-collars, the hard plastic e-collars. Certainly the pets don't love them, but in the first 3 to maybe 5 days after surgery, it's helpful to have that so that your pet does not lick at the incision and create inflammation and infection. And in worst case scenarios, it causes opening of the incision. So we don't want to see that. Any other questions?
What questions should you talk to your vet about before you get your pet spayed and neutered?
These are great things. What do you want to talk to your veterinarian about? Your veterinarian is going to do a full physical exam. And in some cases, depending on the life stage of your pet, they may want to do blood work before. What blood work will do is it'll help us determine whether or not your pet has healthy organs that are going to do well under anesthesia. So you want to make sure the liver, the kidneys, the heart, you want to make sure that all of these vital organs are healthy and in good shape before they undergo anesthesia, and blood work can help us find problems. Certainly doesn't guarantee that there's no complications, but it definitely helps us to identify problems. So talk to your veterinarian about just your pet's overall health and whether or not they should undergo the spay or the neuter. But in most cases, it's more beneficial to have it than not.
Stacy is caring for a group of feral cats. One of the moms just had a litter of kittens. They want to know how soon they can trap and spay mom after she's had a litter.
Oh, great question. So I would say around 4 to 6 weeks afterwards. And that's because it usually takes about 4 to 6 weeks for the kittens to start being weaned. But in addition, you want to do it within that 4 to 6 week period because cats can actually become pregnant very soon after they give birth. So you don't want to get into a cycle where this feral cat has given birth and now 4 weeks later she's pregnant again, and now we have this cycle of pet overpopulation, which is one of the things we're passionate about preventing. And so we want to make sure if you can get it in that 4 to 6 week period, that would be ideal. You can wait a little bit longer if you're able to keep the cat away from other male cats. So keep them inside in an enclosed area. Then you're able to wait maybe close to 6 to 8 weeks when the kittens are completely weaned. But if she's going to be outdoors, sometimes they can get pregnant very soon after a litter. And so 4 to 6 weeks is probably about the time period that is good.
Kristen wants to know what effect does spaying and neutering have on a pet's lifespan, and also does it help with male aggression?
Oh, yes, absolutely. So the easy one, helping with male aggression, I do think that, again, neutering a male earlier can certainly help to reduce testosterone levels, which contribute to the aggression that we can see in males. So it can help to reduce that. In terms of lifespan, because we're able to prevent diseases that are related to hormones like testosterone and estrogen, we do see animals live longer. And some of it is not only because of the hormone influence, but some of it is because when animals are in heat, or when a male is interested in mating with a female, they oftentimes will go to extreme lengths to get to those females. So we have sometimes males who jump fences, who escape their yard, because what they're trying to do is they're trying to look for a female that they can mate with. And so not only is it the hormonal influence, but sometimes it's just the lifestyle of escaping their yard to get to a female that can actually help to prolong their life because it's a little bit safer.
Is there anything you want to say to any pet owners who are maybe on the fence about spaying, neutering, maybe why it's so important?
Absolutely. I would say the benefits certainly outweigh the risks. Preventing pet overpopulation is certainly one thing. As you know, here in the South, we have so many pets who need homes. Again, we encourage you to come down and see some of those pets that need homes. But some of that is because what we want to do is educate the entire community about proper spaying and neutering and preventing pregnancy in which we don't have plans for all the puppies and kittens and we don't have homes for them. So it can help us in that way. But for the individual pets, the health issues that we can prevent are paramount. Preventing mammary cancer, even in dogs who are intact have a higher risk of prostate cancer. They can even get testicular cancer. And so there are some health risks even associated with males who are intact as they get older as well. So talk to your family veterinarian about when this procedure should be done. Usually it's easier and faster recovery when they are young, when they're less than a year and even less than 6 months. But it's very quick recovery, very safe procedure. And so I would talk to your family members about it. Now, there are some cases where we don't spay and neuter pets, and usually those are show dogs, for example. They're going to be show dogs. They're purebred. Keeping them intact is part of the requirement. So I don't want to forget that. There are certainly some cases where keeping a dog intact might be a requirement for their lifestyle. Yes. Any other questions?
Do you have to worry about getting your pet spayed and neutered if you adopt from Houston SPCA?
Oh, that's a great question. So every pet that you adopt from the Houston SPCA will already be spayed or neutered when you adopt him or her. And so we do spays and neuters every day. Very common procedure here. We even have some of our spay packs and instruments here that we use. These instruments are sterile and used for only one patient before they're re-sterilized. And so we have very high quality procedures for our spays and neuters here. And so your pet will already be spayed and neutered and have a tattoo to indicate so you don't have to worry about that if you're adopting from us. Well, thank you guys for joining us. We had a great time today. Good discussion. Please join us. Come on down to our campus. If you're considering partnering with us, we are always doing work in the community and helping our friends. Right now, we have a team even in Louisiana that has gone out to help with the hurricane recovery efforts. So we're still working in not just this community, but in surrounding communities as well. If you want to support us, please go to houstonspca.org/donate and help be a part of our effort to save more animals and help our community. Thank you so much, and we will see you next week. I'm Dr. Westbrook.